Hello, thank you for joining me today. My name is Lucinda Pennington. I will be doing a little study today about overcomers and how to teach others to overcome and give you a little background, a little bit about me. I grew up in the foster system. I was abandoned at birth by my mother. She walked out of the hospital at 3 days old, decided that she couldn't take care of me, and I entered into the foster care system. I aged out of the system at the age of 21 after spending 13 different foster homes who sexually, physically, mentally abused me, except for the exception of one foster home. And the state of Maine, where I grew up, the Department of Social Services had 3 psychiatrists, the age of 5, 9, and 11, say that I was completely mentally disabled, that I couldn't learn, that I had been traumatized beyond repair, that it was impossible for me to learn, that God has allowed me to have 2 master's degrees. I have so many credits and certifications, close to having a doctorate's degree. It's just the school that I graduated from, all of the classes that I took, they didn't offer a doctorate's degree. So if I transfer my education over to another school, I am about 12 credits away from a doctorate if they were to accept all of my credits at my school that I graduated from. So I thank you for joining me today. Again, my name is Lucinda Pennington, and we're going to discuss how to overcome. I am a true believer that there's more to life than being a survivor. God instructs us to become overcomers. And with that, we're to teach others to overcome. And so it's important to me that I pass that on and what God has done for me. When I was 15 years old, I spent 3 years in a group home because I had tattled on my adopted father at the age of 11 to 15. He had been molesting me every night, and discovered at the age of 15 he wasn't supposed to be doing that. So because I tattled on him, my parents had sent me away to a juvenile facility to get corrected. And it was a reform school where I was basically in lockdown for 3 years. But during that time, God had opened my eyes to let me see how bitter, how angry, and how hateful I was as a teenager to other people. Even though I wasn't very vocal, even though I wasn't, I could be revengeful, silent revengeful, to the point where staff members would pull me aside and say, "Well, Cinda, that was really mean. Why did you do that?" And my answer would be, "Don't like her. I simply don't like her." And so I really had to reflect on myself. Why am I so hateful? Why am I so mean? Why am I so bitter? And God allowed people to show me that I couldn't allow my abusers to have power over me. And what exactly does that mean? I didn't want to just be a survivor. Anybody can be a survivor. You take somebody who's had a horrible accident and loses a limb. Now, they can survive that, but can they overcome the challenges that comes with losing a limb? And that's why I think God uses the word overcomers and not survivor, because we're not just to survive, we're to overcome the obstacles that is put in our way. In order, once we do that and we have overcome those obstacles, we then in turn teach others to do the same. So I had a lot to overcome. When I became an adult and got married, I had a lot to overcome. I had a lot of conflict management I had to learn. I spent 12 years working in mental and juvenile facilities, helping young teenagers reflect and have self-accountability, and teaching them how to overcome, how to stop playing the blame game. It's so easy to play the blame game. I don't know about you, but it's so much easier to sit there and say, well, it's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault. And you don't become an overcomer pointing the fingers at everybody else. You know, God clearly says in his word that you got to take care of the beam in your own eye before you start picking out everybody else's splinters in their eyes. Okay. So really reflect on yourself. I like to do some reflection. I call it man in the mirror, woman in the mirror. What is it about you that you need to focus on and change to have a better life, to have a better attitude? If you're struggling at work, what is it can you contribute to making things better? There's different things, different programs I like to do. Now I'm a certified chaplain counselor through the North American Mission Board. I've had a nonprofit organization, Overcomers Counseling Center, since 2005, and then in 2016, I became a 501c3 nonprofit. I help young adults that have aged out of the system learn how to break the cycle of child protective services, learn how to get a job, be successful, teach them how to drive, get their first car, clean up their credit so they can get their first rental house. So we do all kinds of stuff to help these young people to learn how to break that cycle, so that we give them parenting classes. Even before they become a parent, we give them parenting classes and experience. We teach them how to cook, how to clean, all of that. So my program, I've had 3 successful adults. I haven't been doing this long with the after taking children in my home. Children, they're young adults in my home. Hold on, guys. Taking young adults, they're not children, young adults. I think the youngest I've had is 23. Unfortunately, the Child Protective Services, when they no longer can make money on the children that are in the system, they basically give them a bus pass and say, goodbye, go wherever you want. We can no longer help you. Good luck, farewell. You know, and you find these kids living under bridges. You find them living wherever they can couch hop. They really don't know how to survive. And so you have 50% of them that will either end up in jail, on drugs, being prostituted. You have male and females that are being prostituted for drugs and money just to have a place to lay their heads at night. So things have to change. So that's my ministry. And I also help families that are dealing with child protective services. This is one of the books. I'm an author of another book, huge. It's about 800 pages. This one is the All States Manual. It's got all the websites and everything on it for your state. Learning how to keep CPS accountable to their rules and guidelines. And then I have the Missouri one printed. And then my first and second book is about my life growing up in foster care. They Meant It for Evil was my first one. And then my second one is God Meant It for Good. And when the company went out of business, I went on Amazon and combined my first and second book into one. So now you can buy it as one. So I'm pretty excited about that. I try to help as many people as I can. I have officially, as of last week, closed 129 cases and have seen 355 children reunified with their families. That's very important to me because I was never reunified with my family. My birth mother died at the age of 17, or not 17, 16. No, I was 15. Excuse me. It was right before I left for the group home. I was 15 years old when my birth mother died. And then I forgot why I was telling you about my birth mother. I just had a brain fart, guys. Forgive me. So let me, anyway, so my first book is about growing up in foster care. My second book is how the challenges of having to overcome and why it's important to me to help other children and other families who have been traumatized by the system to overcome those obstacles and those challenges. It was very difficult. I didn't even learn to read and write, guys, until I was 11 years old. Didn't even know how to write my own name. Didn't have my alphabet learned. I didn't know how to do anything until I was 11 years old. That's when I started learning how to read and write. I had a lot of catching up to do. It's taken me a lot of years, but God has been good to me. He has helped me throughout this process. It's not been easy. I won't lie to you. Life is hard. Life is very hard. God has allowed me to find a handsome, wonderful man. We've been married 27 years. I have 6 beautiful children. My oldest is 26 and my youngest is 6. I have 5 daughters, Grace, Hope, Faith, Charity, and Serenity. And my son, Stephen Jr., he's 6 years old. God has blessed him, made him special. He's autistic. And someday God is going to use him in a special, mighty way. Not sure what it is. I pray that all my children will be used by God. But meanwhile, I'm trying to teach others, teach families, change, and to overcome the obstacles that are in their ways. I had a big old beautiful presentation that I wanted to share, but I couldn't figure out how to connect it to the video. I'm technically challenged here, so I haven't quite learned that aspect of it yet. But I did want to mention that the Bible has a lot to say about being an overcomer. The term overcomer is especially prominent in the book of Revelations, okay? And I believe we're in the time of Revelations, okay, guys? Jesus encourages his people to remain steadfast through the trials in their lives, okay? Revelations 2:26, 3:21, 21:7. 1 John 5, 4 through 5 says, for whatever is born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith. Who is the one who overcomes the world, but he who believes that Jesus is the Son of God? Overcomers are followers of Christ who successfully resist the power and temptation of this world system. An overcomer is not sinless, but holds fast to the faith in Christ until the end. He does not turn away when times get difficult or become apostate. Overcoming requires complete dependence upon God for direction, purpose, fulfillment, and strength to follow his plan in our lives. Proverbs 3, 5 through 6, and 2 Corinthians 12, 9. Now, I love this part. The Greek word, do you speak Greek? I don't. But anyways, the Greek word most often translated overcomer stems from the word Nike, which according to the Strong Concordance means to carry off the victory. The verb implies a battle. The Bible teaches Christians to recognize the world as a battleground, not a playground. God does not leave us defenseless. Ephesians 6, 11 through 17 describes the armor of the Lord available to all believers. Scattered throughout this narrative is the admonition to stand firm. Sometimes all it takes is to overcome temptation is to stand firm and refuse to be dragged into it. James 4:7 says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. An overcomer is one who resists sin no matter what lures Satan uses. The Apostle Paul wrote eloquently of overcoming in Romans 8:35 through 39. He summarizes the power believers have through the Holy Spirit to overcome the attacks of the enemy. In verse 37, it says, in all things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Overcoming is often equated in enduring. Jesus encouraged those who follow him to endure to the end. Matthew 24:13. A true disciple of Christ is one who endures trials by the power of the Holy Spirit. An overcomer clings to Christ no matter how high the cost of discipleship. Hebrews 3:14 says, we have come to share in Christ, if indeed we hold our original conviction firmly to the very end. In the book of Revelation, Jesus promised great reward to those who overcome. Overcomers are promised that they will eat from the tree of life. I'm going to hold God to that promise and be unharmed by the second death, eat from the hidden manna and to be given a new name, have authority over nations, be clothed in white garments, be made a permanent pillar in the house of God, and to sit with Jesus on his throne. I truly want to be that overcomer. God has allowed me to see and to experience things that no human being should ever have to experience. I've had almost every bone broken in my body from abuse. But the thing is, I do not allow my abusers to have power over me, and neither should you. You need to trust and obey God's word, and that's truly how you overcome. Okay. He says that you will be hated by all by my name's sake, but the one who endures to the end will be saved. We have the guarantee of Jesus that if we are his, we will be able to endure to the end, and his rewards will make it all worthwhile. And it is. I see God's hand and his mercy in my life. I truly believe that God is blessing me simply because of my obedience. And there's a lot of verses in the Bible. I believe there's like 24. The most relevant verses are John 16:33. These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you have tribulation, but take courage, I have overcome the world. Romans 8:37. But in all these things we are overwhelmingly conqueror through him who loved us. 1 John 2:13. I am writing to you, fathers, because you know him who has been from the beginning. I am writing to you, young men, because you have overcome the evil one. I have written to you, children, because you know the Father. 1 John 4:4. You are from God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I love that verse. I actually have a favorite verse, Romans 12:21. I'm sure they have it listed here. It's one of my favorite. Overcome evil with good. That is my favorite verse of all time. Romans 12:21. Overcome evil with good. It's very important to me to take those things which God has allowed me to go through and take those evil, wicked things that people meant for evil and to turn around and make that into something good. So what I try to do is when I'm trying to encourage other people to be overcomers, it's not about looking at yourself. It's about looking at what God has done for us. I know if you don't know God is God, you don't understand that concept, but I do, and I can encourage you. God says, study to show thyself approved. When I was in that group home for 3 years, I didn't have anything to do other than crochet, go to school, do schoolwork. So I really studied the Bible. I spent 3 years poring over my Bible, wondering what God had for me in my life, wanting to be what he wanted me to be. It was very important to me to feel like my life mattered. I was so angry, so bitter at everybody. I realized that my roots of bitterness and anger was so deep that I really didn't understand the concept of love. I didn't understand the concept that somebody could love me. I had never felt that before. And they showed me that through Christ, he has always been there for me. I just couldn't see it. Even through the heartache and the pain, I knew that God was going to be there for me. There's a verse in the Bible that I have clung to since I was a little girl. And my Sunday school teacher gave me this verse when I was a little girl. One thing that I liked about the fact when I was little was I was able to go to church. The foster parents liked it when bus captains would come and pick us up on a bus and take us to church because it was free babysitting for Sunday. They could sleep in and not have to worry about me and my brother because we'd be at church all day, literally all day till like 5-6 o'clock at night when they would come and bring us back home. And my foster parents, they didn't mind because it was, like I said, free babysitting for them. But the one thing that I loved the most was I had a bus captain who believed that his mission in life was to reach every child in his neighborhood, in his city. And so wherever DFS or CPS moved us, I always prayed that the bus captain would find us. And he always did. God always brought him around. I would be outside waiting. I would for days. I would be outside waiting just waiting for him to come knock on the door, because they had moved me and I wasn't able to tell him where we were moving to. And we would jokingly say, you're going to find me, right? If I'm not at that foster parent, you're going to find me, right? And he would. Every single home that they had put me in, this bus captain would find me and my brother. And so the one verse that really stuck in my heart from that was, when your father and your mother forsake you, God will take thee up. And that was my favorite passage, because I knew that I didn't have a mom. I didn't have a dad that loved me, but God loved me. And that was really, really stuck in me, even when I was bitter and angry. I knew that God loved me, but I didn't feel loved. And it took me getting rid of that root of bitterness, that root of anger, that root of nobody can love me, I'm unlovable, and changing and choosing to open my heart, my soul, and my mind to what God had taught and what he teaches in his word. And so it was really important to me, even at the age of 15, I wanted to be a good mom. I want someday to be a good mom, a good wife. And so I studied all those things. I studied to show myself approved. I spent many, many years studying. So today I'm a chaplain counselor through the North American Mission Board. I own an Overcomers Counseling Center, 501c3. My website is overcomerscounselingcenterinc.com. Come join me. Come check me out. We're getting ready to get a membership page so you can see me once a week. Come and ask me questions. We're going to have Bible studies. We're going to have classes for parents that are trying to get their child back from Child Protective Services. I'm going to have classes for lawyers, classes for caseworkers and foster parents. And because I believe that it's a whole picture. It's, God says we have to not be narrow-minded. We have to touch all aspects. And I think it's important, if we're going to change a system, we need to educate everybody in the system on what's going on, what's happening. I know a lot of parents don't understand. A lot of parents, until it happens to them, they think they're safe. Oh, I'm a good parent. I don't beat my children. I don't starve my children. But, simply somebody can get mad at you. And I've had this happen. A neighbor gets mad at you because your dog pooped in his yard, and they're going to hotline you and say, you don't take care of your children. Next thing you know, you've got CPS at your door, simply because your neighbor is mad at you because your doggy pooped in his yard. That's actually happened. Okay. And the parents are like, surely this will work itself out. Don't have to. A year and a half later, it took them a year and a half while their children in foster care, abused by the foster system, by the way. They had abusive foster parents who had abused them, which they had never been abused before. That's what I'm talking about. The trauma that was caused by that, simply because a dog pooped in the neighbor's yard. So things like that actually truly happen. And it's sad. It's wrong. It's heartbreaking. And it's unacceptable. And the system, when they make $1.3 million, it's a $1 trillion industry. It is legalized child trafficking. When each state is making billions of dollars, I'm not talking millions, I'm talking billions. Each state is making billions of dollars with the budget to take children away from their parents. They have to meet a quota to get that money, to get that funding from your Social Security. It becomes a legalized child trafficking. Are there cases that should be taken into care? Absolutely. Should we have a system in place to protect children who are being abused in the system? I absolutely agree. But when you have a system that has got immunity, they can lie and forge documents. And I know this for a fact. I've actually witnessed a supervisor forge a police report and not have any consequences. In fact, gets a raise and is now supervisor over 2 counties. So they can forge a police report and get a promotion. That doesn't sound right. And have full immunity. If you and I forged a police report, we would be in jail, probably 30, 40 years. But no, if you're a supervisor, you get immunity. Okay. And that's just not right. So I believe that we need reform. We need to change the bonuses. When a guardian ad litem gets a $30,000 bonus to keep family members away from adopting their grandchildren or nieces and nephews, and somebody gets a bonus for not allowing family to adopt, they're going to fight family tooth and nail because they're not going to give up that bonus. They will lie, cheat, and steal to get that $30,000 bonus. And people are like, what? I'm sure you're sitting there going, what? Yes. So that's what I teach, and I educate people to let you know what our system is doing, because you have no idea. You have no idea that your schools, your hospitals, your police, your mandate reporters, they get a percentage of turning children in. They get paid for turning children in. Okay, they get a bonus. Okay, that's not okay. That's just not okay. And I want to see reform. I want to see the bonuses taken away. I want the immunities taken away. I want accountability. I don't want them investigating themselves. I believe we need to have a third party that is not associated with the state, who can, without bias, look into complaints from parents and complaints even from foster parents, because foster parents are mistreated as well. Foster parents are lied to about the parents. Adoption families are lied to about the parents. And so my ministry helps these families overcome all this trauma. I'm going to choke here. Excuse me. Overcome the trauma that Child Protective Services does to these children. It's not fair. It's not right. And are there children that need to be in care? Absolutely. And I don't want to end that. That's not what I'm preaching. That is not what I'm teaching. I do believe in accountability, and I believe in holding them accountable. When you have a lawyer that refuses to do the right thing because they have to continue having a relationship with CPS and with the judges, and they won't take a stand when they know for a fact that a caseworker is not doing what they're supposed to do, but they want to keep good relationships, they will allow a family to be destroyed and separated and torn apart and brutalized by a system that's only doing it for the money, not for the best interest of the child. And so that's where my ministry comes in at. I help these parents look at their case. I look at, because no parent is perfect. Parents make mistakes. You've got parents that struggle with drug addiction. You have some parents that struggle with, I was a foster kid. I don't know how to be a parent. So they need parenting classes. They know how, they need conflict management classes. They get involved in domestic violence, and they need to have counseling on that, because it's not healthy for children to see their mom or their dad. Women beat up men. Okay. In our day and age, it is not just a man hits woman. No, women are very aggressive. Women can be the domestic violence partner. I actually had a judge on a case that was involved herself as domestic violence, and she was the aggressor. So women can be domestic violence as well. So a lot of these parents that do have a case, I help them do the services, help them complete the services, help them do what they need to do, okay, to complete the services so that they can get their children back and do what they need to do. Here in the state of Missouri, I've actually had the privilege to turn 9 TPRs, terminating of parental rights, back to reunification, okay? Helping the parents do what they needed to do to be successful. I've even helped parents start businesses, fix their credit, go back to school, learn a trade, and I enjoy doing that. It's very rewarding to see them be successful, get their children back, and be very happy. I have some cases that I've closed, one especially in Florida, where nobody would help on that case, not a single person. They just wanted to milk the parents for all their money. And for less than $3,000, I was able to help them get their babies back in 5 months. And the mom followed everything that I told her to do and what not to do, even though she was so tempted. Oh, she called me up 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't. And I'm like, no, hold on. God is in control. You've got to have faith and trust in him that he has control of this. It was really, really hard for her and her husband, but they were thrilled to death when CPS literally tucked their tails between their legs and realized what they had done was wrong, and was able to get their children back. They lost 5 months with their children and their newborn, but God's going to bless them and God is going to heal them. I truly believe God is a God of healing. And with that healing and with that encouragement, teaching now she what I taught her, then in turn teaches somebody else. That's why it's important to become overcomers. She overcame something in her life that she never thought she would ever go through. It was such a horrific thing to have to experience, the pain, the agony, the nights where she was weeping and crying and begging for mercy and asking God to spare her this pain. But God didn't spare her that pain. In fact, he helped walk her through it. And so in turn, she turns and helps other parents who are struggling and don't know what to do. Just like I taught her, she in turn teaches other people. And that's why it's important for me to teach us overcomers to teach others to overcome. And I think that's why God blesses those who do that. And we got to remember, we're not survivors. We need to overcome and allow God to use us to show other people that there is hope in this world. There is a God who's standing there with wide open arms, waiting for us to be obedient, to be a servant, and to be serving others. So God bless you guys. I think I'm at my time limit here. I actually don't know what time I'm on, as it's not telling me how long I have been on here. Let me check it here. All right, guys, I'm going to call it. I'm not sure how long I've been on here, as I should have been keeping track of the time. I don't like making really long videos. So, but check me out. Go to Overcomers Counseling Center, inc.com, and join us. Join us when we start our meetings, and come to our Bible studies. We're going to get ready and do some Bible studies. I do premarital counseling. I do marriage counseling for men, women, and couples. We do behavioral health classes for foster parents and regular parents. And together, I encourage them to come together. We can do group therapies as well as individual therapies. I'm also the pastor's wife here at Coleman Baptist Church. We use the building here on Thursday nights. And so join us. Come out Sunday afternoons. I always encourage people. I stay till 6 o'clock at night after church. Anybody that wants to bring your case here at Coleman Baptist Church in Peculiar, Missouri, you're more than welcome to join us on Sunday and bring your case file. I'll help you go over it, let you know what you need to do to get your children back as quickly as possible, and even be your mentor on how to do so, and help you through that process if you're here in Missouri. So I welcome you to come join me at Coleman Baptist Church. Look us up. Check out my Facebook. Check out my Twitter. I'm learning Twitter. Haven't quite figured it all out, as I'm technically challenged. My daughter is actually helping me with that. So but the main thing is my website, Overcomers Counseling. It's Overcomers with an S, Comers Counseling Center, inc.com. So come join us. We're going to start having a membership page. I just need to get it launched, where you can have weekly meetings with us. And then we're going to have some special events coming up, and would love to see you. Would love question and answer time. Anytime that you want to have some question and answer, or if you need some one-on-one time, I'm more than happy to help you with that as well. So God bless you guys. Remember, God has asked us, overcome evil with good. So let's do that. Okay. God bless you. And again, my name is Lucinda Pennington, and it's been a pleasure and a blessing to meet you today. God bless you, and you have a good evening.